We are here at the Allegheny Mountain Institute farm. I'm here with Grayson Sheeler. She is one of the fellows of the Allegheny Mountain Institute. She's going to show us around the farm today. Welcome to our farm.
Did you know there was a farm on the campus of Augusta Health? Many don't. Allegheny Mountain Institute is a nonprofit educational institution that stands for cultivating healthy communities through food and education. The farm at Augusta Health came out of a 2016 Community Health Needs Assessment conducted by the hospital. It found that while our community has a lot of strengths, there are also a lot of opportunities to grow to a healthier, more connected place, including nutrition, physical activity and weight, diabetes, and access to care. AMI wanted to find ways to address these issues, and the farm at Augusta Health was born.
So today we have about a 1.2 acre vegetable farm that's producing about 30,000 pounds of vegetables a year to feed our community and to help to give everyone the option to access really fresh, really nutrient-dense vegetables for a balanced diet and better, more resilient health.
Let's meet Pat Banks, the AMI farm manager, and learn just what happens to the food the farm produces.
Produce we grow goes to, it's all by weight, our partnership with AMI and Augusta Health. 80% of the produce by weight goes to the hospital through a few different fashions. In the past, the majority has gone to the cafeteria where they use that hotline, patient meals, catering, things like that. But this year with COVID, things have transitioned. We're now, due to the kind of low, not a lot of traffic in the cafeteria, we're now giving 60 kind of produce bags to home health hospice patients and their families. So nurses are going out to the patients, we're packing bags up, laying them out for the nurses, and they bring them to their patients. We're also doing a farm fresh food box this year that Augusta Health has kind of been heading up, and we're providing all the produce for it. It's a 50 kind of bag, weekly bag that is consists of like 6 to 7 items of our vegetables from the farm, along with meat and eggs from other vendors around the Augusta County. And then we also do a little bit still to the cafeteria, and AMI we do use our produce through a few different fashions. Right now we're harvesting for a harvest box, we call it, for the hospital staff and their employees, where they can go online, purchase a weekly box from us, and drive in at the farm, pick up the box, kind of like a drive-through style. And we also attend a WIC market on Fridays, which we're also harvesting for today. It's based for, I think, 95% of the sales there off of women, infant, children vouchers. So a lot of their clients get these vouchers the day they go and visit their doctors, and they immediately we have a farmer's market right when they walk in the door.
Now that we've learned where the produce the farm makes goes, let's start the tour. First up is the greenhouse, where all of AMI's plants start their lives. You can't hear it right now, but the fans in here are very, very loud, and they help to circulate air and humidity so that the plants in here grow stronger and hardier. You can see growing there are baby lettuces, basil, more culinary herbs like lavender, plenty of tomatoes, and sunflowers in compostable pots, a favorite of the Augusta Health staff for their bright, cheery faces. You can also see harvested onions drying out in the greenhouse so they stay fresher longer. Grayson will show us next what happens when plants come out of the greenhouse.
They come here to this table to harden off. If you're not familiar with that gardening term, that's where our plants spend some time in the outdoors to get used to the wind, the rain, the temperature fluctuations. We call these our teenage plants, and they're getting ready to be kicked out of the house. They're getting used to the real world before they're introduced to the wider world of the farm.
Moving on, we walk past the compost pile. Compost is a wonderful fertilizer for gardens and farms. It's organic material, meaning everything from weeds to fruits and veggies past their prime, to eggshells and even coffee grounds. Just no dairy or meat products. Next, Grayson is going to tell us more about the important and sustainable ways AMI grows their crops.
So one of the most frequent questions we get about the farm is whether our produce is organic. And the answer is our produce is not organic certified, but everything we grow is grown with organic practices. And even beyond that, what we like to call regenerative practices. We really focus on replacing diversity of minerals and nutrients that are taken from the soil and into our vegetables back into the soil for a healthy soil ecosystem and to really close that loop of production. And one of the key ways that we keep that soil healthy for a healthy farm and healthy people is by rotating our crops. So as we move into the farm, you can see that this row, which is growing a lot of beans and culinary herbs this year, is not growing the same crops as it was if you had visited last summer. Those crops, our corn and sweet potatoes, have now moved to this side of the aisle. We try to always grow a new crop in new ground each year, never follow with the same crop in the same place twice in a row, so that we keep that soil healthy and take different nutrients out of the soil into the vegetables. Rotation's also a key way to make sure that the pests that found us last year have a little bit more challenge to work through before they find us again this year and aren't doing so much damage to our vegetables.
AMI doesn't use chemicals on their plants. They use physical methods like bug netting or natural methods like planting marigolds at the end of their rows. Check out some of the beautiful plants they've been able to grow with these natural methods, like beets, eggplant, Carmen peppers, summer squash, and field tomatoes. Next, Grayson takes us to some of the other growing structures on the farm.
So this structure is called a caterpillar tunnel, and it essentially traps the ambient heat coming up from the ground to create a environment that is a little bit more consistently warm and humid, which some of our crops really prefer. So it's a great place for us to start crops that need a little bit more heat early in the spring and late in the fall, as well as here in the height of the summer to keep it warm for some of our most heat-loving crops like cucumbers. Cucumbers are climbing these trellises right now. In our second high tunnel, Georgia is picking green beans, and we're also growing a beautiful crop of Swiss chard. Swiss chard is a favorite of Augusta Health's cafeteria, so we make sure that we have enough Swiss chard to supply the cafeteria for as long a season as we can manage.
Georgia is part of AMI's fully sponsored 18-month Farm and Food Fellowship. AMI Fellows spend 6 months in immersive residential training on the Allegheny Farm campus and 1 year in service work in the region with Allegheny Mountain Institute and food-related nonprofit partner organizations. The AMI Fellowship builds strong leaders who successfully work to build more cohesive community food systems. Alumni go to work as farmers, local food coordinators, school garden educators, and advocates for sustainable food systems.
Do you want to see what size they should be?
Yeah.
You're looking for about that size.
Wow.
Allegheny Mountain Institute also grows a lot of flowers. They're not only pretty additions to the farm, they are also very useful for the plants. Kayla, another fellow, tells us more.
Why do you grow flowers at a vegetable farm?
We grow flowers here so that we can attract beneficial insects and pollinators, and that helps all the plants in the garden, and it just creates a better environment for things to grow.
What kind of flowers do you have in here?
We have a lot of varieties. We have yarrow, dahlias, zinnias, straw flowers, celosia, plenty, more than I can name.
You might recognize Grayson from our seasonal Saturday programs at the libraries. She oversees the educational aspect of the farm, a key part of the organization's mission. Grayson and her team make sure that along with the produce they put out into the community, folks get the skills and confidence to use that produce and knowledge of how eating vegetables contributes to overall health and wellness. Part of AMI's mission is also to help people understand the food system more broadly, why each of our choices has an impact on our local community, economy, and ecosystem. One of the most crucial parts of AMI's service model is a program called Food Pharmacy. Augusta Health patients with chronic health conditions can go to AMI weekly for classes and demonstrations and receive a voucher for customized produce prescriptions, which they pick up from the farm. In addition to the health benefits from eating more produce, food pharmacy participants form a supportive community for each other and feel more confident that they can regulate their own health conditions. Let's continue on our tour.
So I showed you our smaller caterpillar tunnels, and here we have our large high tunnel. And the high tunnel serves the same function on the farm of extending our farming season. So in about February, we start planting here with early crops like spinach, so that we can have crops well over a month before we would be able to grow them outside. And the way that happens is that this large plastic dome structure traps the ambient heat from the soil and keeps things consistently warmer than outside. It protects our crops from the threat of really, really cold nights that might otherwise freeze them. In the spring, after we've harvested our first spinach crops, we clear the ground and plant our summer crops, largely tomatoes this year. And our tomatoes are growing up these strings. They will easily reach the ceiling of the high tunnel and keep on going. So we use a lower and lean trellising system that allows them to keep growing as long as they are happy. Once they reach the ceiling, we will loosen the spools they grow on and shift them over to the side at a slant so that they can keep growing as long as they keep producing tomatoes. And as you can see, some of these vines are already very, very fertile. Many of our cherry tomatoes are already ripe. So we are enjoying harvesting from this space. And on the sides of the high tunnel, we are growing celery. We're also doing some companion planting in these rows, growing our basil with our tomatoes. The basil enjoys the shade created by the tomato leaves. And it's said that the pairing of basil and tomatoes makes your tomatoes a little bit sweeter. Of course, it's a great culinary pairing too.
How long will the tomatoes keep producing in here?
These tomatoes should be happy well into October.
Wow.
As long as we don't get a particularly cold fall. This structure, if we take off our shade cloth and close the vents on the side, turns from being a airy place to a very warm, humid place. And that way we can keep the temperature moderated and consistently high enough to keep growing well into the fall. Wow. In fact, with our high tunnel, we could probably grow up to 11 months out of the year. The limiting factor isn't so much the temperature in the winters here as it is the light. Short days in the winter make growth happen very, very slowly as our plants have to work really hard to photosynthesize.
So, what's coming up next for Allegheny Mountain Institute? I bet there are big plans on the rise.
So in this space behind me, which right now is empty or storage area for our wood chips that are so important to weed control on the farm, we're eventually going to see an education garden that will really transform what AMI Farm at Augusta Health is able to offer to our community. This will be a space that people are welcomed in to learn how to grow food and how to harvest it, how to know when it's delicious, and try new varieties so that folks are really able to make their health more resilient through a balanced diet, to feel comfortable interacting with vegetables, and to teach their families the same things. We have a lot of big dreams for this space and this project in the future, and it's important to us that this work continues to be shared with our community in the broadest way possible.
If you want to get involved with Allegheny Mountain Institute, you can visit them online at AlleghenyMountainInstitute.org and follow them on Facebook and Instagram for updates. You can get information about the fellowship program, find learning resources, and find out more about food access and education in your community. Thanks so much for joining us today. We hope you had a great time on the farm with us.